All right. My little thingy said to go, so I always have to listen to my tech overlords and, well, just start the show because it said go. And I can't but do what they say because it looks like things are a bit quiet here. Let me adjust the microphone. Is that any better? Let's see here. Hopefully things aren't. Let me turn that up a bit. For whatever reason now, my microphone is being weird. I apologize to anybody out there. But I am finally live. Here we go. Getting everything going. Welcome to Joe's Disc Golf Podcast with me, your host, Joe, so creatively named here, and brought to you by Insert Sponsor. I'd like to thank Insert Sponsor for providing the services or goods for this podcast. Thank you all for helping with that. Isn't that great? Go check out Insert Sponsor. Hello, Bruce. How are you? Glad to see that you're up. That is, 8 a.m.? That's not too bad. Correct? I hope my timing is right on there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is actually nice to have someone. I don't know how to act. I have someone actually watching live. This is, 7. Oh, you guys are in mountain time. I'm just a bit off here. It is 9 a.m. here in the very edge of the Eastern time zone. Central time is by far the best. That may or may not just be because I grew up there, and that's just how it goes. I don't know how to act. I actually have someone watching. This is actually exciting. That's yay, go me. Exciting stuff over the weekend with the wow, I almost called it the Las Vegas challenge. Boy, I am a couple weeks off there with the wow, mind just went whoop, gone. Anyway, Chew, great weekend this weekend with Waco. Wow, that was way too hard for me to remember, and I don't know why. I watched all of Waco, and for whatever reason, someone had brought this up on one of the comments with my recap for round two. Round two was rough to watch, and I don't know why. I love watching disc golf. I love watching the Jomez stuff. This year, I started watching the live Disc Golf Network stuff, which is, I get it. I'm not expecting, PGA Masters where, all right, we're watching our lead card here. We're watching Tiger tee off. Okay, everybody hit it. And now we're going to go over to hole 17 where Phil Mickelson did that thing. Okay, now we're going to bounce over to hole 3. Okay, now we're back to hole 1 where Tiger is now lining up his second shot. I get it. Like, Disc Golf Network, not there yet. Yet being the key word. But it was a slog. I don't know what was going on there, but you know what? It happens. Sometimes some rounds are more interesting than others. I get it. It's just the way it goes. But very exciting there watching Nikola Castro just dominate the first 7 holes, 7 birdies. He went 7 for 7. Just beating out Ulibarri, who went 6 for 6 to start the tournament. He ends up winning it, but it was rough. Hole 8 was okay. Holes like 9 through 15 were just not good. He did not look like himself. I don't know if he realized like he was doing well. It was one of those like you're doing well, and then you realize you're doing well. I know I have that problem sometimes where it's like, all right, that was good. All of a sudden it's like, hey, did you realize you're shooting the hot round? Like, thanks. Now I'm not. Thank you. I always hate when people tell me like if I have to do the scorecard for my card, I'll do it. I will do it. I prefer not to. I love not knowing where I'm at. I perform so much better if I don't know where I'm at. And maybe that's just from playing, football and ultimate frisbee and baseball where it's like if I don't think about how we're doing, because there's enough other things going on, I play really well. Clear mind, fast feet kind of thing. So if somebody starts telling me about scores and things, like, I'd rather not know. And maybe that's what happened with Nico. I know at one point towards holes 14, 13, 14, somewhere in there, he looked at a score, drained that big putt on 17. That was insane. He did get a little help from the wind. I'm not going to say that that didn't happen, because you could see it just towards the end there, it just went whoop right into the basket. But it is what happens. It's disc golf. I mean, that can happen. How many times have we all had where you're tracking perfect for the chains, and then the wind just beats it down or shoots you right over? And, plenty of times where I've had it the opposite way, where I'm tracking over the basket or under the basket, and the wind gives me a little assist. It just happened to really help Nico out on that 100 and I think it was like 80-foot putt. I mean, it was great. And I just love his step putt. That little step putt that he does, it is so smooth and so great. Nothing against the other guys, like Kevin Jones' jump putt. I've tried it, and I am horribly inaccurate with that. I just started messing around with the Nico style step putt, and I was hitting the cage. So I'm nowhere near as accurate or as good with that as him, but that just felt more natural for me. Like jump putt, it is your guess is as good as mine on where that putter is going to end up. And I will give you a hint. It's not going to be in the basket. It is going to be over the basket, to the left, to the right, under the basket. Take it back now, y'all. 2 hops this time. That's probably not legal, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, yeah, I tried the jump putting, got away from it because I couldn't quite do it. And looking at Nico's step putt, I find some success, and maybe sort of kind of going to start practicing that. It's a little late now. I do have a tournament coming up this Sunday, the Tillman Tune-Up. This is the prep/fundraiser for the Three Rivers Open, which, if you've not signed up, you're kind of SOL on that one. There are still 11 spots open, but those are for AM40 plus, so AM40, AM50, all those, and FA side. So any of the female side still open. There's 11 spots to divide up between the two. So once it's full, it's full. But if you're looking to play AM1, AM2, AM3, yeah, full. Sorry. That tournament registration opened up about this time yesterday. And I want to say I signed up around 11, and of the 144 open spots, there was 100 spots filled. By the time I finished registration, there was 105 spots filled. And by 4 p.m. local, Eastern time, basically, if you were planning to play AM1, 2, 3, you're SOL. That just goes to show that if there is a tournament you really want to play, I highly recommend going on Disc Golf Scene, seeing exactly when that tournament opens, because they're selling out fast. And Three Rivers Open, I mean, a couple years ago was the first time I ever played it out here in Fort Wayne. Great tournament, has gotten even better since then. But I walked up Friday. I happened to be walking by the disc golf park at Sweeney West, and so I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" Ended up dropping into doubles, just casual, random start doubles there. Played that, and they're like, "Hey, you want to play TRO tomorrow?" I'm like, "Sure, why not? I've never played a disc golf tournament. I'd played a lot of disc golf before, but I'd never played in a tournament." So I'm going, sure, why not? This is a course I play all the time. Totally crapped the bed on that one. Took an 8 on a hole that I usually get birdie, which is on that hole, it's a par 4. It's a peninsula hole. But yeah, walked up day before, and they still had plenty of spots. Now, if you're not signing up, the tournament isn't until August 24th, 5th, whatever that last Saturday, Sunday is in August. Now it's already full. You can also hop on and play MPO, which is that's an A tier, the weekend after. I don't know when that registration opens. I am not part of that. But the nice thing is about the AM side, the top MPO and FPO, top AM1, top MA1, top FA1 scores get free entry into the next weekend, the pro side. So I'm going to try for that. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to play very, very well, but I think I can do that. I think that's enough about that. Let's get into our topics here. We got the Texas State Disc Golf Championship going into phase one. I was a little bit surprised here that, Waco had to make their decisions and their calls on what phase they were in before Texas announced that they're going to completely open. Now, Texas is completely open. I'm a little surprised they're doing phase one, not just letting everybody go, but at the same time, I can understand that PDGA is doing a little CYA. You don't want to, you don't want to, open yourself up for litigation. I don't know how that all works because they're a national company. It's not like, oh, well, local disc golf club is running basically just a local tournament in Texas. This is a big national tour, so I don't know how that all works out. Plus, you do have to worry about local local regulations. So Tyler, Texas, what they're saying, and then the county of Tyler. I forget what county Tyler's in. I should know this. I used to live there. There's some good disc golf. University of Texas at Tyler used to have a really, really, really cool looking. I loved playing that course when I was there for grad school. Unfortunately, the field where I played Ultimate Frisbee is now the new Science Center, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is a massive parking structure where the fairway for one of the holes was, because front nine, at least the way I played it, where I parked, I can't remember. The front nine that I would always play was wide open, longer bomber shots, kind of like Waco. Back nine, tighter tunnel shots in the woods. Not nearly as hardcore as Tyler, but it's still a lot of fun. Still a ton of fun. Really helped me out when I was still fairly new into disc golf. Got me going. I really loved it. I thought it was a bunch of fun to play that course. May or may not have taken a 2-quart camel pack with a friend of mine and filled it with some rum and coke, and that went well. That went really well. Fortunately, I had friends that lived across the street in student housing. I didn't live there, but yeah, so we were able to walk across the street and have some fun with disc golf, living up the stereotype of finishing a 6-pack during a round each-ish. But, we weren't smoking the dope. We weren't on the ganja. So, what does it mean to be in phase one? Well, the event site is established, in this case, Wednesday, March 24th at 8 a.m. So at that point, park is closed, course is closed, no one else is on there, and it stays closed until 1 hour after the final round is finished on Sunday the 28th. You must social distance. You got to wear a mask. If you are not able to social distance and indoors, that kind of fun stuff. Unfortunately, that's kind of what happens. There's no caddies. You get one travel/support person, but they cannot be within 50 feet of the green or the tee. But the way I read that was pretty much just how I said it. So do they get to hang out next to you when you're walking down the fairway? I don't know how that's all that different, other than they're trying to not get people to congregate right around the tee. In general, like, a lot of times, unless you're playing wide open, the tees, like, there's not a lot of space for a lot of extra people. Like, there's a couple courses around here where if you're playing just a regular foursome, it's tight. Forget trying to squeeze a caddy in there. So I don't mind the 50 feet away. Maybe if it was like 25 feet, I get it's probably 4 regulations in there. Like, they're again doing some CYA. And no spectators. So again, we're going with no spectators with this. So I wish there were some spectators. I'm sure the pros kind of like it. I know here in Indiana, I work as an athletic trainer. I do sports medicine. I will say it was weird covering high school basketball with no spectators for about half the season, and then they allowed spectators in and things were good. I'm pretty sure the referees loved not having any spectators because they didn't have to deal with all the random crap that people would shout at them. Because, parents are nuts a lot of times, and they take high school basketball and just high school sports in general. They generally take them way too serious, but c'est la vie, I guess. So no spectators there. Hopefully, as we get into some of these warmer, like I don't expect California to have any spectators at all, but I'm hoping some of these other courses that we're going to later in the year will have some spectators. No word on oh yeah, no word on the California or anything else. They at 4 weeks out, just as a kind of a reminder here, in case you guys have missed it, at 4 weeks out, PDGA checks in with the local tournament just to see will regulations allow the tournament to go on. That's pretty much how that goes. At 2 weeks, they make the call of are we phase one? Are we phase two? What are the limits and what's going on with the tournament there? So pretty interesting to see how that goes. I'll be curious to see what happens there. Gonna jump on to the Lone Star Classic. You may have not heard of this. I had not heard of this unless you were on Ultiworld and kind of caught this there. The Lone Star Classic is a tournament that just started in 2019. It is currently a B tier, but it is definitely acting like a Pro Tour stop. So this is a tournament that inaugural year was 2019. 2020, I believe, yeah, 2020 they still had it because that happened in February. So you were able to get that through, and that happened right before everything shut down last year. Because Waco was the last thing that happened, and that got cut short last year. What's really cool here is they were able to change the date on this and change it to April 2nd through the 4th. So this puts it right between, right in the middle of the Texas swing of the Pro Tour tournament here. And, they're trying to attract some high level disc golfers here, trying to get them in after Texas State here and going, all right. Or sorry, it's this week. I got my dates all mixed up. So they're trying to get them in after Texas State because they're still here and there's a couple weeks in between the next one. And they're trying to get them in. They're trying to attract people. So how are they going to attract them? Well, moolah, the cash, dinero, lots and lots of it. The main sponsor, Zedco Development, they have been the title sponsor since this was founded. The owner of Zedco Development, it's a real estate property, got super involved with the tournament and got super involved with the local club in Houston, I want to say. It's Houston or Austin? I know that's a huge difference. That's like 6 hours away in between the two cities. It's one of those two cities. Huge there. They're trying to, the club was trying to get a tournament started at one of the properties they own. They want to put in a disc golf course. They thought it was a great idea, tried to get into it, ran this tournament, ran really well the first year, ran really well last year, and they've added a ton of extra cash. Zedco is putting forth $25,000 right there. 20,000 of that is going straight into the pot. 5,000 is going to media coverage. So I don't know who they're getting, if it's Jomez or Gatekeeper, GK, or a smaller group. There are a ton of people starting up disc golf coverage companies, so who knows, it might be someone local, but with that kind of cash there, I'm assuming it's going to be one of the bigger ones. On top of that, so that's 20,000. On top of that, Tito's Vodka, a Texas-based vodka company, and just as a side note, I hate vodka. It is gross. It all tastes disgusting to me. They have added another 10 grand into the pot, so there is 30 grand into the pot right there. Show me the money, man. Show me the money. They are really trying to attract the pros. This is a B tier that's trying to act like a national tour stop right here. And even better, there is equal payouts between MPO and FPO. So I'm assuming this tournament is already sold out. I haven't looked. I'm not in the position to be able to travel long distances for tournaments. The furthest I will be going is about 3.5 hours away, and that's only because my parents live near a course that I want to go and play, playing Clash at the Canyons here in June, which is I believe it's a B tier for the AM side. And course looks fantastic, looks really cool. But back to Texas here. It is a US DGC and Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship qualifier. This is the first and only B tier to have that honor, to be a qualifier for that. You don't get any national tour points, but if you are a pretty decent regional area player, you could earn yourself a spot to throw pink WDGC or just USDGC. Good luck out there. Hopefully that all works out for everybody out there. We also have some new discs out there, new PDGA approved discs getting out there. There was a new target approved. I've kind of stopped covering new targets because they're all the same. I mean, I hate to say that. Yes, you could have. I'm not a huge fan of the Prodigy one with that weird net in the middle. I think that causes a lot more spit outs than anything else, but that's a personal opinion. Other than that, you're just iterating on the exact same thing. There's not all that much difference between them. There are difference in chains and, different from what the PDGA requires for an A tier level, a championship level basket, and so forth. But, it's not, I'm not really too concerned with all of that. But we do have 3 new discs. We have the Huntsman from Fourth Circle Discs. It looks to be about a fairway driver. Could be interesting to see what's out there. There's a whole bunch of new companies that I haven't heard of making discs. So I'm really excited to see what these other companies do. The ones that aren't, Dynamic Discs, Innova, Prodigy, MVP, all those. We also have the Votum from Thought Space Athletics. This also looks like a fairway driver. Could be a slow distance driver. It's got the rim. There are no great pictures. It's always just fortunately, it's a somewhat clear looking plastic for all of these, so I could tell. And the Praxis from Thought Space Athletics. Definitely a mid-range. The way that rim is, it is definitely a mid-range. Really curious to see how all these go. Good luck to all those companies that are starting out there. They've had a bunch of different companies starting out and hopefully seeing what's out there. Maybe there'll be some new discs that we'll see on tour. Unfortunately, these smaller companies, they're not quite they don't quite have the funds to sponsor a big name, a Ricky Wysocki or a Paul McBeth, or like Paul McBeth. His contract is ridiculous. $10 million for 10 years on top of the royalties for his disc line. I think he gets I don't know. I think I heard a rumor that he gets $3 or $4 per disc sold. So anytime you buy a Paul McBeth insert disc, I think he's got basically his name on almost every disc there. Yeah, the guy is rolling in it. And I mean, he's a great disc golfer. He did not have a great showing at Waco, but he definitely, day 3, he definitely came back. Feel bad for him and Ricky. Eagle crapped the bed at Waco, that's for sure. Eagle did not have a good tournament. He won Las Vegas handedly and then got to Waco and it all went to his head or something, or he just lost his cool. He was not looking good. There were plenty of times where I saw them cut to him and he was hitting his bag, throwing stuff into his bag. He was frustrated and letting it show. I know, easier said than done, not letting your emotions get to you, but dude, that was rough. Anyway, moving on to our final topic here. This seems like it's going to be a bit of a shorter podcast here, but that's okay. Hopefully, this won't be too bad. We've got the Pro Tour explained. What are all these different things? This comes compliments of UDisc, just kind of explaining things and me adding my own twist to it. We've got the Elite Series. This is the top tour. This is the cream of the crop, the Grand Pumbaa, the top dog, the head honcho, the big cheese. This awards the most tour points for anything. So whatever place you get, it's the top 10 spots. You get so many points. It's 100, and then it scales down a bit. And then after 5th place, there's a big drop off, and then that's it. The winners are based on traditional scoring, so least amount of strokes wins. Highest standards for media, organizations, added cash. These are always the fun ones to watch. This is your Great Lakes Open, your Ledgestones, your Wacos, all those different tours right there. Then you have, stepping down from that, you have your Silver Series. This was started in 2020. This was renamed from the Experimental Tour because the Experimental Tour just doesn't sound very good. It doesn't sound like it should be some elite thing. It sounds like you're going to be trying out some wacky things where, bottom of the card, the worst player gets to throw first, or, you can only play with your offhand. But Silver Series sounds a lot better, though it does make me think of, in this area, we have the Silver Sneakers Club, which is a bunch of old people getting together in the morning and walking, so that reminds me of that. Sounds more like a MPO or Pro Masters setup here. But this has also very high standards, like the Elite Series. Generally not as much added cash. Happens in areas that are close to and around the same time as an Elite Series stop. So kind of like what Lone Star Classic is trying to do. They're trying to get into at least the Silver Series, just to make it an added incentive to get those pros out there to just see if they can grow the sport and grow that all the way to a hopefully Pro Tour stop is what their eventual goal is. Silver Series only gives 25 25% of the points that an Elite Series would, so you still get points for doing this. It is a good time. And the winner is also based on traditional scoring. The standards might not be quite as high as in terms of organization and media, as the Elite Series, but it's still a very, very highly respected, very well-run event. Moving down from that, you also have the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. Now, this format is definitely an interesting format. This is something that players have been kind of hit or miss on, and I'm a little bit torn on whether or not this is a good idea or a bad idea, but it is what it is. Round one, this is MPO only, is round one. You have everybody seeded through all the points that you got from throughout the year. Top 32 players make it into this tournament. So round one, you have seeds 17 through 32 play whatever the course is at USDGC. The top 4 players will move on to the finals, or to the quarterfinals. Those guys will just move on. So, and it doesn't matter what card you're on, it doesn't matter anything. Top 4 scores, move on to the next day. If there is a tie for the 4th spot, whoever has the better seed will win the tiebreaker. I'm not sure I agree with that one. I think you should go to a playoff, but that's not my call. Quarterfinals, this is where FPO picks it up. Generally, at this point, unfortunately, there are not enough women FPO players. So hopefully, within the next couple years here, with the way the sport has been growing, MPO and FPO will start out with that 32, but FPO starts out with the 16. So 9 through 16, plus the 4 from the previous day, will play another round. Your scores from the previous day do not count. They do not matter. Top 4 will move on to the semifinals. Scores, as I mentioned, do not carry over whatsoever. So you could have shot the best round of your life yesterday, and today that accounts for nothing. Absolutely nothing. Again, if the scores are tied for that 4th spot, better seed advances. So those guys who are coming in 17 through 32, whoever those people are, you better win or not have a tie, because I think that stinks. Again, I would like to see a playoff. I kind of understand why they're doing this, but who knows? Oh yeah, there's side note. Got a comment here. Just watch the disc golf kid, 10 years old, throwing farther than me. Yeah, there's a kid in our club who's 11 or 12, and we played in the Veterans for Vets tournament. That's a disc golf tournament in a box where you raise money for a local veterans organization. And there's really just 2 divisions, men's and women's. There's no real separation from that. The point here is to just donate money, raise money, do a fundraiser, for your local veterans organization, whatever you want to do, you get to pick who that goes to. There's a 12-year-old who beat the crap out of me. I just like, it was one of those like demoralizing, like it was super windy. I thought I shot great, and I see that he beat me by like 6 strokes on a very tightly wooded course. And I'm like, I just, I want to do better. And I always go back to one of my friend's sons who many years ago, I think he was about 4 or 5 years old at this point. We were playing Disney Connect for the Xbox, so you're trying to use the Connect sensor. And what you have to do is do whatever action you want about a half a second before you actually need to do it. And this kid grew up kind of playing this and knew that, and I did not. So I was not doing very well. He beat the crap out of me in Disney Connect. And he just looks at me and he thinks he's giving very helpful advice, but it was probably the worst taunt I've ever received. He just looks up at me and goes, "It's okay. Next time, just do better." And I'm like, God, I lost and I'm getting taunted by a 5-year-old. Fan-freaking-tastic. Bringing it back to the semifinals. So you're taking the top 4 from the previous day from the quarterfinals again. So it's seeds 1 through 8 plus the other 4. Again, previous scores don't matter. 4 best move on to the finals. Tiebreaker, again, is the better seed. Again, same comment as the last couple rounds. I think it should be a playoff, but that is what it is. In the finals, we have the 4 best players play against each other on the same card. Previous scores, again, don't matter. Ties are broken through sudden death playoff. This is where a tiebreaker, the playoff, goes into effect. So that's pretty cool. I'll be curious to see how this goes again. It was a lot of fun to watch this last year where Kevin Jones won it. Good job for him. And on the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Star Championship. This is what happened a couple weeks ago here. And will happen again, I believe, in November. What they want to do is have it at the end of the year, but COVID kind of messed things up. So they're going to try to have it again at the end of this year, where this is all players are seeded 1 through 8, and this is based on tour points, so it's the same idea. So whoever you're going to see in the semifinals, those top 8 players, it's going to be the same thing. So you'll have 8 MPO and 8 FPO players. They're paired up, 1 with 8, 2 with 7, so on down the list. You play 9 holes of best shot, 9 holes of worst shot. And in my mind, worst shot, unless someone absolutely shanks it, I don't know how you define worst shot in some cases. Like, obviously, you end up in the woods, you shank it, you hit an early tree. That's a pretty clear, straightforward worst shot. Now, other than that, like if you're both in the fairway and there's not a lot in your way, what do you take, the farther back one? Do you take what do you consider the worst shot? Sometimes, in my opinion, if I'm a little further back from the hole, that's probably a good thing, depending on the way the hole is set up. Who knows? So that's just a little side rant there. Not a big deal. Day 2, you take the combined scores of the previous day. So basically, your 18 holes, you add them up. The top players, basically everybody just gets their scores to start from there. So it definitely helps to play doubles really good, because that is your starting score for the next day. So you automatically start with ties. If pair 2 and 7 shoot the best score, guess what? 2 and 7 are tied going into the next day. After that, it's normal stroke play. Perfect, fine, whatever. Let's see what happens. This is where Katrina and Kona were paired together, and some people were thinking like Kona kind of rode Katrina's coattails there, but after her showing at Waco, Kona is legit. Like, I thought she was legit before, but now she finally has that. She finally crossed that hump, because she would do really well in 2020 and then just kind of like make that one mistake that just kept her from really breaking out. And here this year at Waco, she didn't make that mistake, which is great. Good for her. I'm so happy. I'd love to see the FPO field as deep as the MPO field, and I think it's going to get there sooner than later. Moving on to the Disc Golf Pro Tour Match Play Championship. This is something new. They'll have 16 MPO players and 8 FPO players, just because, again, not as many. This is based on the points you get from the 10 Elite Series and 4 Silver Series events. This is an invite-only tournament, and normal match play rules are applied for this. So I don't know exactly how they're going to break it up, if it's going to be 1 versus 16, and on the FPO side, 1 versus 8, so on and so forth. But match play, I do have a review of what match play rules are. I'll have to link that after this. But little details are actually known about this event. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think throwing in this match play championship, I know there are a lot of pros complaining because they're like, well, we don't practice match play and we don't play like that. Just go out and have fun, man. Like, it's an invite-only tournament. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. That's my thoughts. You don't want to do it, don't do it. But yeah. And you may or may not have caught my little rant video on YouTube of, I guess I'll go into a little more detail with that here. So the gist of it is, unless I ask for your advice, I don't want it. Please just shut the hell up. That's pretty much how I feel about this. And this stems from getting ready for a tournament. I was playing AM2 last year at the Fort Wayne Outfitters Open. Yeah, the FWOO. 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 Great course on the PFW campus, and then the infamous temp course that is only around for this tournament. Generally, it's held in the fall. This year, it is held in June. So a little bit different. Going to be a little more challenging because in late October, a lot of the leaves are off the trees, making that course slightly easier. But yeah. Anyway, I was at the practice basket, and I was, warming up with my putts. I was probably 20 feet out, just throwing a couple putts. It was my first couple. And I've learned that I should probably start at 10 feet, just get used to, like, all right, that's the motion. There we go. We're going. We're good. Anyway, so I was throwing from about 20 feet, and I missed him. Not a big deal. That's why you warm up, so you can get that crap out of your system early. And I had this MPO guy come over and goes, well, this is what you're doing wrong with your form. And I was like, thanks, I'm good. He's like, well, I just saw you miss those 4. Yeah, again, those were, guess what? My first 4 putts of the day. Just, please leave me alone. Well, you should really change this. Dude, I'm not changing my form the day of a tournament. We're starting here in about an hour. I'm not changing anything about my game. How I'm going to play is how I'm going to play. Now, if I want to make changes to my game and my form, which, just to be clear, I've not changed anything about my putting form. I've practiced, things have improved, but I'm a staggered stance spin putter. I have not changed anything about that. I have gotten smoother in my form. I've adjusted small little tweaks here and there, but there have been no major changes in my form. The major change in my putting that I've done, I've gotten a little more comfortable in a straddle putt stance. I still spin putt from a straddle. It makes sense to me. It works for me, and I can get around a tree, and I'm good from about 30. I wouldn't say I'm accurate from 30, but I can get to the basket from 30. All I have to do is get around all the trees. Name of the game, right? But that's about the biggest change I've made to my game. So please, I know this happens. There have been articles written and comments made about guys giving unwanted advice to female players. In general, this is a blanket statement. Unless someone asks you, don't give advice. They probably don't want it. If you're teaching your friend to start out, that's a different scenario. Otherwise, I don't want your damn advice. As I said, I don't care if you are Paul Macbeth or unrated Joe Blow, bottom of the barrel player. I don't want your advice. I don't care. That being said, we all have those certain friends who can just say, hey, you do X, Y, or Z. You should probably stop doing that. Those friends that play with you all the time who have that repertoire with you, where I got a couple buddies where I know I could say to them, hey, dude, you know how you're trying to fix X, Y, or Z? Yeah, you're doing that again. And they go, oh, yeah, thanks. just the other day, I had a buddy tell me, he's like, you're throwing it really hard at the basket, even from like 15, 20 feet, and I was missing a lot. So that helped me to realize how hard I was throwing. I'd not realized it, and I took it back, and suddenly I was making all the putts I was missing before. So those are select cases. If you're some random person on the course, I don't want to hear it. FPO or female players, sorry. Female players don't want to hear it. Male players don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. Just play your game. And if I ask you, if Paul Macbeth is out there and I'm somehow playing around, first off, I'm going to be slaughtered, absolutely killed, and it doesn't matter what course we're on. I might ask him, like, hey, you got any tips? But otherwise, he's also professional. I doubt he's going to just walk up to someone and go, hey, guess what? You're doing X, Y, and Z wrong. So just a little note out there. And another thing that I saw on Twitter, this was about a week and a half ago, Brody Smith he did his little video about saying like commentators shouldn't talk about the discs that the pros throw. And he gave an example that he has 4 nukes that fly 4 different ways because they're beat in, they're different plastics and all that fun stuff. And I was talking about this to another guy in our club, and he's like, yeah, I got 4 bosses that each one does a different thing. He's got a super beat in one, a blizzard boss, a star, or no, a DX and a champion, I think. And they all fly different. That's great. I like knowing what discs the pros are throwing because sometimes I go, huh, that's how that's supposed to fly. That's fun. Or it's just kind of cool to know what they're throwing. Like, the Luna got super popular. It's a really nice putter. I'm not I don't throw the Luna. I am on the Team Trilogy stuff, so I throw only Trilogy plastic. But I can admit that it's a great putter and it's a great disc. Maybe I'm watching them and going, okay, so that's what that does. That's the line I can hit. Okay, maybe, I can't throw the nuke like Brody Smith, but I could take the step down from the nuke and do the exact same thing. Or maybe I could just see different lines, and it's just kind of cool to know. It's disc golf is a different kind of sport where it's like regular ball golf. Yeah, you got your different clubs, your Titleist, your Wilson, all your different clubs like that, but generally they're all the same, and you change your club based on what distance you're trying to get. Disc golf is different in that way. It's not like, baseball where it's a bat and all the skill is in hitting the ball. All the skill is there. The bat has basically nothing to do with it. Disc golf, yeah, the disc does have something to do with it. Like, you're probably going to get way more distance from a distance driver than your mid-range. However, when Ricky throws his pig, the putter, it goes pretty far. He throws it 400 feet. So it's just cool to see what can be done. And maybe it gives you an idea of like, okay, I can't throw my putter 400 feet, but I can throw it 150 feet straight on a dime. Maybe I start considering throwing my putter instead of that mid-range or whatever. Just different things that are out there. I know, kind of rambling here, jumping around topics at the end, having lots of fun, lots of chit-chat, but it looks like this is about the end of the stream, so thank you all for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, depending if you're listening to podcast or YouTube or Twitch. Thank you all. I really appreciate everybody who was watching and listening. Thank you, Bruce, for hanging out in chat. Appreciate it. I go live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so plan accordingly around the world. Thank you. And again, don't forget to rate, review, all that fun stuff. Like, subscribe, share this on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the different social medias. But everybody have a great week, and hopefully I'll have a little bit of coverage for the tournament this weekend that I'm blanking on the name. But Disc Golf Network only does live for the final round, so you're better off watching probably Jomez or GK, Gatekeeper, whoever's got the previous round coverage. So thank you all. Have a great week. Let's have some fun disc golfing.